Hello YouTube makeup lovers. Today I'm going to do a video all about brush care. I love makeup brushes. I love collecting them. I have a couple videos on my channel, Be Lounge Makeup, showing you my favorite makeup brushes. And now I'm going to show you exactly how I take care of them, how I clean them, and even how I store them. There are a few products that I like to use to clean my brushes. I'm going to show you my whole routine and I'm even going to show you my whole setup of my brushes. But I want to mention the products that I'm going to be using in this video. And the first one is the MAC brush cleaner. This is my favorite brush cleaner from MAC. It is a great brush cleaner. It really takes everything off. But then there's also a very cheap alternative that also works really well, and it's very gentle on your brushes, and that's just regular baby shampoo. And I use the regular one from Always, which is just the Johnson & Johnson one. For cleaning brushes, I also love to use the brush guard. It looks like this. I got this one at coastalscents.com. There's the Coastal Scents website. I don't know if you can see that. I know lots of places sell them online. I even think there's probably a website for the brush guard as well. They come in little packs like this. I actually just stuck them all in there, but this is actually a few packs worth of brush guards. And what it is you put them on your brushes after you wash them. At least that's how I do them. And it goes up on the brush like this. And that makes sure that your brush dries in the appropriate shape of the brush. For example, I love using it for MAC's 217 brush, which is something like this. See, this is MAC's 217. And then when you wash it, sometimes it looks a little bit disheveled. So you can take a brush guard like this, which is very small. And when the brush is wet, I'm going to show you exactly how I do it after. You just put it over the brush like this. And when it dries perfect, like a brand new brush. And it makes your brush last a long time. It helps the bristles not get all disheveled and frazzled. And that's basically what I do in cleaning my brushes. There's also many ways to clean your brushes. There's like spot treatment ways where you just kind of clean them on the spot if you want to reuse them right away, or just do like a quick cleanup. Or there's like a more of a deep cleaning, which is kind of what I like to do the most. For example, if I just wanted to clean out my 217 brush really quickly, and I don't want to do a whole deal of cleaning brushes and take a long time, all you pretty much have to do is put a little bit of the MAC brush cleaner in a paper towel like this. And then you just kind of like swipe your brush on it, and you see how all the dirty is coming off on the brush. Coming off from the brush. See, and then the brush right away, it looks so much more clean. And then that just helps your brush get clean. Like if you want to clean one or two brushes and you don't want to go through the whole process that I'm going to show you. But I love this process. I love cleaning my brushes quite often. What I do is, I'm going to show you now my setup. But I have all of them set up in these containers like this. This is actually a container for kitchen utensils. I bought it at the Container Store, and this is where I put my brushes. And what I do is that I have my clean brushes in these containers, and then once I start using them, I put them in these containers that are on the sides of my vanity. So that way I know that even if I used it once, when I do the full type of cleanup, of deep cleaning, I clean everything that I've used. It's very good for your skin to clean your brushes. I think it avoids breakouts. I mean, you really should clean your brushes quite often. I'm not saying, maybe I do it every 2 weeks. I do a deep cleaning, and then throughout the weeks, I do spot cleaning like this. Okay, so this is where I store my brushes. I have 2 of these Container Store. It's for kitchen utensils, like I mentioned before. And all these brushes are actually clean. And then on my vanity, on the sides, I have these brush cases. I have 2 here, and I usually only have these 2 here. But since I went on a trip, I have the little travel set that I used when I went away, and I'm going to clean those as well today. So as I use the brushes, I pass them from this setup here to this setup. So now I know that since I'm going to be cleaning my brushes, all I have to do is take these 2 cases and the other ones to the sink. Okay, so here we are in my vanity from the bathroom, and I have my Johnson & Johnson, my MAC brush cleaner. I have a bowl like this. I have a glass bowl, but you can use any plastic bowl or Tupperware. I have my brushes. Here's the sink. I have some paper towels, and I have a towel that I'm going to open up here, because as I rinse the brushes, I'm going to lay them on this towel. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fill up the bowl with a little bit of water, not too much, about that much in the bowl. So it's barely any water, but enough so that the hair part of the brush gets wet. We don't want to fill it up too much because with brushes, you want to make sure, for example, let me get this one here, that only the hair part, this part right here, goes in the water. You really want to take care of the ferrule, which is this silver part right here. You don't want this to get wet because then your brushes could get ruined and the wooden handle from the silver part will get detached. Now the first sets of brushes I'm going to wash with the MAC brush cleaner. And what I do is in that water, I'm going to add a couple squirts. That was 3 squirts. And you can see that the water already gets a little bit soapy, but not too much. That right there is going to clean a lot. So I'm going to start placing in the water the brushes that have more of the natural bristles like these. You see I'm putting them in the water. And if you can see here, only the brush is in the water. I'm not going to put in the ones with the synthetic bristles, which are usually the ones that I use for foundation. You can keep on adding brushes into the water until you pretty much have this filled up. I'm going to take all these brushes so you can really clean a bunch at a time. See, like this. I'm just shoving them in there. So look at how many brushes I was able to fit into this bowl. All these brushes are going to get nicely cleaned with that water that I put in there and the 3 squirts of the MAC cleaner that I used. Now, these are all, like I said, the more natural bristles. Here are still the dirty ones that are the synthetic bristles, which are the ones that I mainly use with foundation and concealer. And those are a little bit more tricky to get out, but the MAC cleaner or Johnson's baby shampoo will take them all out. But I like to do them separately because I don't want the foundation that comes off of these to get onto these. So what I do is that I move it around into the water with the cleaner, and then I come to the sink and I kind of rinse it off, and you see all that product that comes out? You just rinse it off, maybe, you know, move it around with your hands, and look how nice and clean this brush is now. So this brush is ready, but in the meantime, I'm going to just squish out the excess water, and I'm going to place it here on my towel, and do the same thing with each and every one of them. Okay, so I'm done rinsing out all the brushes with fresh water. And look how dirty the water is in the bowl. And there's really not that much water left like there was when I first started, just because the brushes soaked up that water, and then when I rinsed it, it all fell in here. So now we're going to do the other brushes, which are the synthetic brushes. And I'm going to rinse out the bowl, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to do those. You can either do the same thing all over again with the MAC cleaner, but I kind of want to show you how I clean them with the Johnson & Johnson's baby shampoo. Okay, so to clean with the baby shampoo, I take my synthetic brush. This is one that I use with concealer, and there's a lot of concealer in this brush. It's very dirty. What I do is I wet it first. Then in my hand, I already have the Johnson & Johnson baby shampoo that I squirted in there. And I just kind of like start rubbing it in my hand. And you can already see all the makeup that's coming out of it. I don't know if you can tell, but you'll see once I start rinsing it off how the dirty water is coming out. I kind of like, you know, move it around the palm of my hand so that all the product comes out, and then the brush ends up very nice and clean. And then I just place it to the side as I grab the next brush, squirt a little bit more shampoo into my hand, wet the brush, and do the same thing. Okay, so I've brought here all the clean brushes to the bed, and I've also laid down a towel on the bed because this is exactly where I'm going to lay the brushes flat to dry. Always lay them flat to dry. I never leave them, you know, standing straight up in the, you know, in the containers where I usually keep them when they're dry, because then the water is going to go down and you don't want that. You want them to lay flat. And you want to, you know, put the brush into the position that it normally is. But first, I am going to take out any excess water with a paper towel by squishing the tip of the brush. I mean, usually I have both hands to do this, but since I'm filming it with my other hand, I can't use both. And then pretty much all the excess water has been taken off of this brush. And then I'm just going to lay it flat like this. And do the same thing with the other ones. Okay, so I put the camera on the tripod so I can show you with both hands what I do. I take the paper towel and I just kind of remove any excess water from the brush. and then I try to shape the brush into the position of the actual brush, and then I lay it flat. Okay, so all the brushes are now laying flat on the bed. They're all nice and clean, and I've pretty much taken out all the excess water that they've had in their bristles, and now we're ready to put on the brush guard. A lot of you can see behind me, but the brushes are on the bed, but I wanted to show you up close because it's hard not to have the camera on the tripod while showing you this, is how I use the brush guard. Okay, so the brush guard, they come in different packs. For example, this one here that I have is a variety pack, and it shows you on the other side exactly what type of brush guards they have. This one has a shadow, a blush, a foundation, and a powder. They also have some that just come with a bunch of powder ones, or they have ones that come with a bunch of eye brush ones, like for the eyes that are like more the smaller ones like this. So what you do is you basically just take your brush, you put it into the brush guard from the bottom, you slide it up, and then you put it over the brush like this, and you let it dry like this. So let me show you with the little eye one. You just take it, see how like crazy the hair is looking? It's kind of like, you know, going crazy up there. I put it in there, and then when you take this out tomorrow morning or whenever, that's when I just leave it there overnight. Okay, so I've already placed the brush guard on the brushes that I consider are the ones that need it the most, especially these little ones like this, like the 217 brush. Okay, so I've already left the brushes overnight, and they're pretty much dry already, and I kind of wanted to show you exactly what it looks like after it's dry with the brush guard on. This is the brush that I showed you earlier that looked pretty disheveled. Look how nice it looks. It doesn't have all the little hairs going all over the place. It looks very nice. And here is a MAC 217, so you kind of have an idea. It's like perfect. It looks like a brand new brush. So this is why I like the brush guard so much. Here is a MAC blush brush. They look very nice. Sometimes I even leave them in the brush guard until I use it, and sometimes I just take it off. Whatever you'd like. And once the brushes are nice and clean, I put them back into the containers where the clean brushes are. And then as I go using them, I place it in the containers here that are on my vanity so that I know exactly which brushes are dirty and which ones are clean. So that is pretty much it. That is how I care for my makeup brushes. It's very important to take care of them and to like always clean them nicely and not wet the wooden part, because the more you take care of them, the more they last. And we know that brushes aren't very cheap, so it's good to make them last, and they can last a very long time. I mean, I have brushes that I've had for over 8 or 9 years or even more, just because I always take care of them. I really hope this video helped you out in taking care of your brushes. You really do not have to spend so much money on cleaning material for your brushes. I mean, if you don't want to spend the money on the MAC brush cleaner, you can just use baby shampoo from the drugstore and it works just as great. And these brush guards are very inexpensive, so check those out online. I'm sure lots of websites carry them. Like I mentioned earlier, I bought mine at coastalscents.com. So I hope you had a lot of fun watching this video, and thank you so much for watching Belange Makeup. Bye!